Hello, my name is Mayor Watt. I'm the mayor of ohmTown.com, and I'm the host of the daily news show at ohmTown. I'm saying ohmTown quite a bit, apparently, but I wanted to start the show early. Kind of missed that target. Had a lot of work going on, and today's news is kind of odd, like it has been the last few days with everything going on with Ukraine and Russia and machinations, geopolitical machinations around the world. And so I was sifting through the news, trying to find something that was interesting within my aggregator, and found quite a few things. It's an eclectic arrangement, and there's no real order to it. And like I say in all of my episodes, what my aggregator does is sifts through a bunch of news from varied sources and categorizes it into 6 primary topics: create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. Within those are going to be shows, 50 of them, that I hope to find hosts and co-hosts and do 1-hour shows each week. I hope you find something of interest from all of this news, and eventually this show, this particular episode, will be posted on YouTube and in the podcast ohmTown. It'll also be posted on ohmTown.com as a video and as an audio file. So go over to ohmTown.com and become a citizen of ohmTown, where you can vote up, vote down, make comments, follow the links that are provided. You don't have to be a citizen of ohmTown to follow the links, though. But there will be some gamification options within ohmTown where you can earn points, and those points will eventually be able to be translated over to products or services. We'll see how that goes. That's the plan. But if you're interested in it, then stick around. The show lasts about an hour, may run short today. Could run long, depending on the engagement of the community. Let me move my chat real quick. If you're in the podcast, you're not going to see what I mouse over. So I kind of urge you to go over to the YouTube channel and watch the video there when it's no longer available on Twitter. Unfortunately, I only have 14 days of repository on twitch.com. So, or twitch.tv, pardon me, twitch.tv, at least for now. And everything else is stored either in the podcast or on ohmTown.com, and also over on YouTube. So you can go over to youtube.com/ohmTown, and it'll take you to me and the channel. Well, I'm kind of blabbing. So like all episodes, I don't really plan this. I see some headlines. I get a snippet of the news. That's what my aggregator does. But I want my reaction to be just as honest and forthcoming as you see it. I don't plan anything, and I tend to want to vamp. So if you want to come and interact, I'm here every day, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., maybe longer. Again, I'm trying to extend this, but it's all about engagement, and I'll be doing this until further notice. So swing on by twitch.tv/ohmTown. Okay, so let's get on with the show. The very first episode, or the very first article, look at that, I'm already falling apart, is an article that was aggregated into the channel Tabletop Nights, which is a gaming channel that I hope to launch. Elden Ring is about to drop. There's a 6-minute overview trailer highlighting combat, premise, customization, and more. It's over at rpgsite.net. And again, just a reminder, all of the episodes that I do, I always include who the author is and the site, and I encourage you to go over and read the rest of the article, because this is basically my perspective and drawing attention to that article. You may want to go over to rpgsite.net and remain there and not ever come back to ohmTown to discuss or review, and that's fine. My whole goal really is to draw attention to the news and things that are interesting to me as Mayor Watt of ohmTown, and me as a person. And I really dig Elden Ring. I'm waiting for it, just like everybody else. It's set to release on February 25th for PlayStation, PC, and others. It's on Steam. You can put it on your list, and even I think you can buy it now already. I think you can pre-order it. I haven't yet. It's on my watch list. But I'm not going to click this link for the video. That's up to you. I want you to go over to rpgsite.net and click this. But I've seen the tech demos. I've seen the public demos. And it's quite amazing. The verticality of this game, it's much like Dying Light 2. It's not this kind of flat, narrow field of view, low resolution kind of a game. I mean, this thing is, I think, going to be extremely popular. And if it isn't, then there's going to have to be something really amazingly wrong with it. The engine that it has and the graphics, I think, are going to be pretty amazing for the production side of it. Obviously, demos and stuff like that not always have the full embodiment of the technology deployed. It's something to show, to tease, and you don't really want to be. You don't want to show something in a tech demo or in a trailer that isn't going to be embodied in the game, because you're going to get some really negative response. Think Cyberpunk 2077. That said, go over there and check it out. The article is written by Adam Vitale. I think it's Vitale. It might be Vitale. Adam Vitale. Pardon me for repeating his name. I'm trying to make sure that I pronounce it properly. But it's a 6-minute overview trailer of Elden Ring. And they put a quick little article together. And you can go and check it out on your own. And the silence you hear is actually me posting the links into the chat within Twitch. The next article, and I tend not to edit things out. I want you to have the full perspective that I'm providing via Twitch in any form. So when you're on YouTube, it's the same as Twitch, except that it's not real time, because I don't do YouTube live. Same thing with the podcast. Obviously the podcast isn't live, but you are invited to twitch.tv/ohmTown, and I can actually put you on the air, as it were. Right above me, there's some open space where there are notifications that are posted, but I can make it so that you are there, and you can either sit in and chat with me about the news, or you can host or co-host a show. Just get in touch with me. The next article over here is in the Word and Tech. Apple will reportedly debut an M2 chip with 4 new Macs this year. It says here, Apple is reportedly gearing up to release several new Macs with an M2 chip later this year, according to Bloomberg reporter Mark Gurman's Power On newsletter. Mark Gurman's usually well informed about this, so I would expect this to happen. It's Apple after all. And so every year or every other year, you're going to get an iterative step in performance and capabilities. I'm not doubting that this will be a year where they evolve their initial offering, fixing whatever mistakes they may have felt existed. I haven't seen any in my MacBook Air. That's what I use as a MacBook Air. I used to use a MacBook Pro, but with the M1, I thought everything was running perfectly well, and I didn't need too much more. This article is over on The Verge, by the way, and it's written by Emma Roth. And it'll go into greater detail about what all is going to be offered. See, it's been well over a year since Apple first announced its M1 in November of 2022. By the end of this year, it's going to have the M2s, I would think, as well. That's the new every two kind of concept. And they learn their lessons and they evolve their chips and they make them more power efficient. Yes, there are some struggles with older technology having to have operating system modifications so that the battery can last. And with limited right to repair kind of ideology in place, replacing a battery isn't necessarily a solution. And you can always send it to get replaced. Usually it's more expensive though, as anything with a constrained number of solution providers would be. But go over to The Verge and check out that article. This next article is kind of interesting because I think it's going to lack a certain amount of context. Without that context, you kind of look at it and go, oh, okay, well, Kanye West is taking a hit and losing a deal. But at one point, Kanye West called Apple Music oppressive. And this article's title is Kanye allegedly loses Apple Music deal and claims he dismissed $100 million offer. And the article's snippet is Kanye West says he allegedly lost a sponsorship deal with Apple Music following his Donda 2 stem player announcement, and has claimed he turned down $100 million offer from the company. Delivering a keynote at an Apple store in 2018, on February 18th, Kanye West announced that Donda 2, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, will only be available on the stem player for its February 22nd release. In follow-up social media posts, it seems he is starting to feel some of the effects of that decision. Well, let's click this link and take you over there. This article is written by Malcolm Owen over at appleinsider.com. And I'm not sure if it's going to say in the article about his statement about Apple Music being oppressive. And I didn't talk about it yesterday because that's when I first saw that article float through ohmTown. And I thought it was really interesting because if you're turning down a $100 million offer, I don't really think that the Apple Music ecosystem is oppressive. I suppose one could argue that no matter how much money you're paid, you could still be oppressed. But I think that it would probably have more, I don't know, more gravitas coming from someone that is not receiving $100 million just for showing up at the door. As one might suspect, there are different people with different perspectives. And for me, I think anybody, it's no press is bad press, that kind of a thing. So if you don't know the history of that saying, it's basically if you're not being talked about, that's the only bad thing. So no matter what it is if you're being talked about, that's a good thing, particularly if you're being spoken about by a company that's heading towards $1 trillion in revenue. I think Apple is trending towards that. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, sorry for the dead air. There's a little bit of music here, but anyway, let's move on. This next article is in the Word in Tech. Ethiopia starts generating power at Nile mega dam. Ethiopia began generating electricity from its mega dam on the Blue Nile on Sunday, a milestone in the controversial multi-billion-dollar project. We're going to click this link. Let me paste it in chat. There's no easy way for me to do this as a YouTube channel, as a Twitch channel, and as a podcast without having these lines where I'm telling you what I'm doing, because the podcast is audible only. So if that really bothers you, let me know. I'll see if I can edit it out in some way, but it'll usually break the video aspect of it. So I'm going to leave it all in there. But I don't really want a lot of dead air. That said, let's continue on. So this article is written by Robbie Corey Boulay. I think it's pronounced. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Over at phys.org. And this dam looks amazing. I mean, the angle of this photograph that's on phys.org just makes it look like something that I would see in Horizon Forbidden West. It's just amazing looking. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But anyway, it says Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, accompanied by high-ranking officials, toured the power station and pressed a series of buttons on an electronic screen, in a move that officials said initiated production. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, or GERD. Wow. That they should. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. You'll just have to look up what GERD is. They should have changed the name. I mean, GERD has to be an understandable thing in every country, right? Like, it's a medical condition. Anyway, it's said to be the largest hydroelectric scheme in Africa, but has been at the center of a dispute with downstream nations, Egypt and Sudan, ever since work first began in 2011. And I can understand why. If you are damming a portion of a major river that provides life, you're going to be disrupting a whole lot of everything from simple business to natural order of life to human life. So I'm not sure what the downstream impact is going to be. But for a country to just dam up a large portion seems odd. I'll put it that way. I guess one would argue about respect of the natural order of things, and that damming something, if the flow continues unabated beyond the dam and there isn't a backup, then like a backup of the water to the point where water is no longer flowing, I can understand it being a non-issue. But if water is actually being backed up like a dam normally does to build pressure so that you can turn the generators, yeah, there might be issues. But I'm not going to read too much beyond this here on the stream. But I will find out more about it, and we can talk about it tomorrow or whenever someone wants to talk about it. If they find this interesting, they can come and talk to me. live here on the air. This next article is over in the Word in Tech. We'll continue on so that we can keep the pace for 1 hour. 1.7 million in NFTs stolen in apparent phishing attack on OpenSea users. I'll just start out by saying you should trust but verify. Do not click on anything. Do not accept anything. Do not say to someone, everything is cool, go ahead, do what you want to. On Saturday, attackers stole hundreds of NFTs from OpenSea users, causing a late-night panic among the site's broad user base. A spreadsheet compiled by the blockchain security service PeckShield counted 254 tokens stolen over the course of the attack, including tokens from Decentraland and Bored Ape Yacht Club. The bulk of the attacks took place between 5 and 8 p.m., targeting 32 users in total. Molly White, who runs the blog Web3 is Going Great, estimated the value of the stolen tokens at more than 1.7 million. They all have valid signatures. The attack appears to have exploited a flexibility in the Wyvern protocol, the open source standard underlying most NFT smart contracts, including those made on OpenSea. So let's click this link. It'll take us over to The Verge, where Russell Brandom wrote this article. 254 tokens were stolen over roughly 3 hours. And this is something that can be reversed. I mean, it would have to be able to be reversed because there is a tracking system for this, and anything that has been deemed fraudulent should be able to be reversed. Not really stolen, but we'll see. It says, and once it was signed, attackers filled in the rest of the check to take their holdings. So there you go. So I'm going to read what the exploit was. The attack appears to have exploited a flexibility in the Wyvern protocol, an open source standard underlying most NFT smart contracts, including those made by on OpenSea. One explanation, linked by CEO Devin Finzer on Twitter, described the attack in 2 parts. First, targets signed a partial contract with a general authorization and large portions left blank. With the signature in place, attackers completed the contract with a call to their own contract, which transferred ownership of the NFTs without payment. In essence, targets of the attack had signed a blank check, and once it was signed, attackers filled in the rest of the check to take their holdings. And that's what I said right at the very beginning of this. Trust but verify. Don't just click on things. Don't just accept things. Don't do anything until you know exactly what's going on. I have told countless people over the last 30 years that you have to be situationally aware. You have to know what's going on. Yes, somebody can abuse a system, but if you are a participant in that fraud, because you weren't paying attention, because you didn't know the ins and outs of the process, and you didn't see everything that was going on, it's time to take that as a teachable moment and learn everything that there is. In this particular case, a contract shouldn't be able to be filled out partially, sent to someone else, and then fulfilled. There should be a timestamp that if anything changes beyond the transfer time, short of the receiver of the confirmation being able to fill in their data and all of the data required, once it goes back to the person who requested the signatures and the other data, it should never have been able to be modified. It should have invalidated the check. Essentially, there should be no blank check. If I'm requesting you to sign something, the entirety of the document should be filled out in total, That's the only way that you can make a valid contract electronically, because anything else means that you no longer have consideration. You don't know what somebody else is putting there. It's a very dangerous contract to be left blank. It would have been better to have not applicable or something else written in there the moment that it was sent on for confirmation. Signing a blank check. It's absurd. Okay, let's move on. This next article is over in Warcrafters. Whoops. I just messed something up. Pardon me 1 second. This next article is over in Warcrafters. It's about a game called Starfield, everything we know about Bethesda's next RPG. The article is over at PCGamer.com. Starfield is Bethesda's first original RPG in 25 years. Sorry, my deep breath is an internal gasp at 25 years of Bethesda not having an original RPG being developed. I'm excited and terrified because Bethesda is old school. Bethesda, I grew up with Bethesda. Okay, let me finish this sentence. Starfield is Bethesda's first original RPG in 25 years, and it's set in the grounded and realistic space of the 24th century. Realistic. Almost 3 years after it was announced, we're getting a slow trickle of details about the game and when you can expect to play it. So let's click this link and check out Christopher Livingston's writing about this Starfield. All the details on Starfield, Bethesda's space RPG. You can go over to PCGamer.com or click the link in chat, or on ohmTown.com or YouTube when it gets posted. I'm slowly catching up. It'll probably be another week before this gets there. Maybe, we'll see. That said, you can always go over to PCGamer.com and read the article. Just do a search for Starfield. It's supposed to launch this year, and I'm not quite sure what everybody actually knows about it. Pardon me, there's a lot of video on this site, and you'll have to go over there because it's just too much really for me to kind of summarize on the fly. Just know that it is a space game. It looks like it's high resolution. It looks like it's very immersive. And I don't see if it's going to be MMO style. Let me see if I can find that out real quick while we're here. So I know that it's on my wish list, and I believe that it's only single player. Yeah. So it's only single player, which, you know, me saying only doesn't, that doesn't quite make much, relative sense, because Horizon Forbidden West is a single player game, but it is massive. This game is so much fun to watch. I don't play it. I'm usually working, so I have a set amount of time where I'm able to do things outside of work, and I would love to play the game, but it's so immersive and so expansive, and those who I've watched play it are really, not really that deep into the game, but they're cruising along at 8 and 12-hour days playing this game since it launched on Friday. It's pretty amazing, but Starfield could be absolutely massive. It says that it's twice as many lines as Skyrim, which had 60,000. in the dialogue. And so it says that during the Tokyo Game Show, Howard told the audience that Starfield will launch with a complete Japanese localization and that it has over 150,000 lines of dialogue, and that it's more than twice that of Skyrim. It's more than Fallout 4's at 111,000. So, yeah. Like this article says, it's going to be a chatty RPG, but it's going to be in space. So I'm really going to be curious just how immersive and what all is going to be involved. I would love, I've gotten a bit of blowback from people where I've said that I wish a certain game would have base building components and multiplayer. And some people just, they're quote unquote tired of base building multiplayer games. But we're social animals. And I think that a space game that has base building and social media, not social media, but social aspects of it, like an MMO with base building, is always great. And we need more of them, I think. Well, let's continue on with the next article. This next article is in The Word in Tech. Again, The Word in Tech is basically going to be a show about an article or two or three. It's going to turn into an hour-long show on its own, but it's going to focus on a particular concept within a theme across multiple articles. Perhaps, it's going to be a week-long thing because it's going to be one show, 1 hour once a week, not a daily show like this. In this particular instance, it's going to be Peloton. That's the word in tech for today. Barry McCarthy is the new Peloton CEO. And yesterday and the day before, I think I've mentioned that there's going to be some reworking of Peloton. I have my suspicions about what they are, largely that they're going to continue to reduce the scope of their carbon footprint and focus on the service, giving themselves more runway, consolidating things to make it more appealing to more people at either a lower cost, or it's going to go the absolutely other way and go into the commercial side of things, where the bikes are in gyms and people pay the premium rate there to use the Peloton bikes, instead of having to buy them for home. It's quite the opposite of what the business model really is. But this article here, it says McCarthy, who served as former chief financial officer for Spotify and Netflix, says his vision for Peloton may include an app store open to third-party content. Today, it's a closed platform, but it could be open. Yeah, absolutely. For the creator economy, sure. But my observation was that there is a finite number of people that are ready to commit to Peloton's business model. Not only an expensive bike, but what amounts to a monthly fee that is in perpetuity. You have to keep on using it to find any benefit from it, short of just riding a bike. But then you don't need a $2,500 or more bike. We shall see what happens. He says he also downplays the importance of hardware when it comes to Peloton's fitness equipment. So let's click this link. The article is written by Emma Roth over at The Verge. And I want to find the line where he says this. Shaking things up more, McCarthy once again hints at the possibility of a brand new subscription model. He tells the New York Times he wants to find the sweet spot between the cost of the workout equipment and a subscription to Peloton's classes. Instead of selling Peloton's equipment for upwards of $1,000, which that's not how much. Let me see here. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, their bikes cost $1,500 plus, not upwards of. right? Maybe let me see something. Yeah, the beginning, the entry level bike is $1,500 plus $250 plus $45 a month, and anything else that you might add. But anyway, it says instead of selling Peloton's equipment for upwards of $1,000, McCarthy envisions a dramatically lower upfront cost and a higher subscription fee, which is my point regarding the basically gyms. You go to the gym to ride a Peloton bike, you pay a premium to be able to use that within the gym, and you don't actually foot the bill for the bike. Earlier this month, John Foley stepped down and announced termination of 2,800 employees, and that speaks to what I was talking about in previous days. And now, and there's still talk about Peloton being purchased, acquired, but I think that there's limited strategic benefit from acquiring Peloton. There isn't anything revolutionary, in my opinion, other than the marketing and first mover. And it could be easily competed against. There isn't any patent that would stop somebody from launching a similar service. You could white label a bike that has interaction capabilities for a relatively small amount of money. In the grand scheme of things, Apple could spin this up if they wanted to. But let's continue on. This next article is dip into hardcore space combat tactics in Nebulous Fleet Command. If you're a fan of real-time space combat, the Nebulous Fleet Command is going to suck you right in. I'm going to click this link and take you over to it. The article is found in Warcrafters. Obviously, you can click that link and just go straight over there. But Jonathan Bolding over at PC Gamer is the author of the article. Again, I love that they have a button that allows you to click on it and it reads the article to you. They have some great video segments that are posted in here for you to consume. It says it's Nebulous Fleet Command is a detailed strategic tactical space game where each engagement starts with setting courses, intuiting radar signatures, and trying to jam enemies while getting sensor locks of your own. And from there, it's anyone's game. And it has a bunch of data about the weapon systems, combat system, and that it's might be for hardcore sim players. I'm going to close that video. But it says electronic warfare, 3D movement, and location-based damage make this strategy game a fascinating one. And that was the interesting part for me, location-based damage. I love fidelity in my damage giving and damage taking. It harkens back to role-playing games that I used to play where you could actually aim for a hand or center mass, or depending on what happens in the game, you damage very small areas within the combat system. So I always appreciate a more complex gaming system. But let's keep on going. This next article is Cyberpunk's 1.5 update related. There's the link in chat. Cyberpunk's 1.5 update includes the beginnings of a transmog system, and I had heard rumors about this in discussions late last night and yesterday afternoon, and not sure. This might suck some people into the game. It may be something where it's not necessarily a true transmog system, but the term is used for it within the code. This is found in the Warcrafters channel, but the article is found on PC Gamer. I'll click the link and take us over there. Ted Litchfield is the author of this, and it has a little subtitle of Cyberpunk Transmog. Sounds like in-universe slang from the Cyberpunk, or from Cyberpunk 2077. Well, it is. It could very well be. DJ Kovrick explained on Reddit and Nexus mods that the ability to hide the equipment in your face/head inventory slots can be enabled with the game.enable transmog console command. Has extended this utility to the other inventory slots through their hide your gear mod. So this could actually be the beginnings of a transmog system, which could pull more people back into Cyberpunk 2077. Depending on who you are, there are some stalwarts that are saying fix the other issues and don't extend until those issues are fixed. Like the police system and AI and the life atmosphere within Cyberpunk 2077 seems stunted. I haven't played Cyberpunk 2077 myself, but it looks like a fun game to watch. That's what I've been doing. I've been watching people play Cyberpunk 2077. But I'm a base builder kind of player, and there's very limited base building within Cyberpunk 2077. You can get other apartments. They did a reveal earlier this week, I should say last week, and I walked away just saying, well, that's a cool expansion, but nothing jaw-dropping. But I want CDPR to keep on working on this and making it more and more enjoyable for everybody. Obviously, at some point, they're going to have to start charging for expansions. Because, well, you just can't run a business on goodwill. The next article is in the Smack Talk channel, and that's where we talk about Mac and Apple and its competitors. And this is the one that I mentioned earlier, where Apple has a clear path to $1 trillion in revenue by 2030. I would assume that they're going to hit that sooner than 2030, but it says Apple could hit $1 trillion in annual revenue with a continued expansion of its various businesses, according to an NYU professor, with acquisitions and investments in fields such as banking, search, health, and the long-rumored Apple Car, able to help edge Apple to the milestone by 2030. I think that they'll be there sooner than that. But I think this is actually coming from Scott Galloway. NYU professor of marketing Scott Galloway points out that Apple earned $366 billion in revenue, just over a third of the way to the milestone. However, that's far behind Amazon's $470 billion and Walmart's $559 billion. And in both of those other two solutions, the value is generated because of the diversity of offerings. You literally cannot go to Walmart without having an option to buy something that you want, including Apple computers. So basically, just like Amazon, you would be you would be at a loss to find something that you wouldn't be willing to buy from either Amazon or Walmart, unless you have, some ethical concern or some something keeping you from wanting to spend there, whatever the reason. But Apple is almost vertical, and to be already at almost 400 billion in revenue is pretty spectacular. I still think that they will accelerate and be there faster than 2030. I mean, we're looking at 8 years from now. So we'll see. We shall see. This article is over at Apple Insider, written by Malcolm Owen. This article comes on the heels of the CEO getting some backlash for possibly receiving $100 million in compensation for 1 year. Now, he'll probably earn it if he gets that $1 trillion by 2030. It's interesting that they talk about Scott Galloway as professor only. This is the same Scott Galloway that is in Pivot, as far as I know. Okay, so let's continue on. This next article is in Smack Talk as well. Nearly every Mac rumored to see an update in 2022. Apple will be bringing out a minimum of 7 Mac models with Apple Silicon, with a large-screened iMac Pro and a revamp of the Mac Pro among the inbound updates. Apple is on a self-imposed 2-year transition from Intel processors to its own Apple Silicon by the end of 2022. In a bid to complete the shift, Apple is to make a few more changes to its product range. Well, naturally, it's going to have to make some shifts, but once it makes these process shifts, the amount of profit per device will jump through the roof again, because they no longer have to pay the licensing fee that they would normally have to pay, nor acquire the chips from someone else. And by owning the IP and the technology for fabbing and so on, you can see why it made sense to pivot away from Intel. It's been done before. Who knows? Maybe technology will outstrip the Apple Silicon, and they'll have to do it again by converting back to Intel or some other chip. Malcolm Owen is the author of this article over at Apple Insider, and it'll go into greater detail about just what's going on with Apple and its conversion over to Apple Silicon. They take from Mark Gurman's Power On newsletter for Bloomberg regarding all of this information. But the M2 chip is coming, and further evolution and micronization of their products. The motherboards are getting smaller and smaller, while still maintaining efficiency and effectiveness and their longevity, basically making the devices so much smaller, yet efficient enough that you can hide them away, and the functionality of the Apple ecosystem just integrates seamlessly into your home or office space. Instead of having to have a big box, you actually have a very efficient small box, and it's going to continue to get smaller. I once told somebody about that, Apple continues to shrink everything that they touch in an effort to make it more effective, more efficient. And they kind of chuckled at me, and now a decade on, Apple is still continuing the micronization process. So at some point, we will have a full Apple computer just sitting on our glasses, and we'll be able to walk around and compute by just looking at things. It'll be great. I think it'll be great. This next article is over in the Mobile channel. 5 science fiction movies to stream now. This month's pick include characters fighting for survival without technology in one film and mixing it up with a sentient car in another. I haven't clicked this link. This really should be over in the Continuity Report channel. But we'll go through this real quick. I stopped subscribing to Hulu because I don't like their interface. But This World Alone is one. Last Survivors. is the other. Rising Wolf is another, and it's streaming on Hulu. Pardon me. And King Car. And apparently the ones that I don't mention on Hulu are available everywhere or in other places. So take a look. But really, I want you to go over to New York Times because Elizabeth Vincentelli, Elizabeth Vincentelli put together this article and took the time to watch these movies and give a short evaluation, a short critique of them, so that you could be better informed as to what all might be interesting out there for you to stream. And science fiction is my jam. So I love science fiction. I'm listening to a bunch of science fiction audiobooks from Audible right now. It's not I don't have a relationship with Audible. I'm just telling you that that's what I listen to. I literally fall asleep listening to Audible books. And I love science fiction. So many of the channels that are on ohmTown.com are related to science or science fiction in some way. Definitely something that I'm fascinated by. I hope you are too. Anyway, let's continue on with this. The next article is in Warcrafters. What deal breakers make you give up on games? There's the link. Let's see here. It says, we've all got plenty of video game pet peeves, but usually it takes something special to make us quit and never go back. For me, it's quite the opposite. I find it's really easy for me to walk away from a game, but I'm not really obsessive about games. Quit, uninstall, goodbye forever is the article's subtitle, and it's that's not really a lead. That's not a caption. I don't know. I must be misspeaking. Anyway, it's written by PC Gamer, and that's the actual byline. So I'm not sure who all was involved in writing this, but go over to PCGamer.com and you can read about what deal breakers make you give up on games. So what are your deal breakers? What do you think they are? If you are in my chat or you are in YouTube or on the podcast, let me know. You can email me. It's fairly simple to send me an email or post on ohmTown.com or send me a message in Twitter or Twitch. Just get in touch with me. And they actually provide a link over to their forums on PCGamer.com. But various people from PC Gamer actually respond as to what it is that makes them give up on a game. And it says it happens far less often than it used to, but starting a mission with a cutscene, then dying, then the game rewinding the spot before the cutscene is a deal breaker. And equally so, there are other PC Gamer staff that respond to that question. And we all have our pet peeves. Mine is I don't have time. I don't have time to play a lot of games. So unfortunately, that's really my limit. Not the game itself. Usually I pick the game well enough that I want to keep on playing it, even when there's something glitchy in it. This next article is in Warcrafters, and it's titled Dip into Hardcore Space Combat. Oh, I've already done this one. I'm really sorry. I'm going to post it again in my chat. Go and check it out. I must have grabbed it twice because of the way that I was going through my news today. But we'll mention it twice. It's Nebulous Fleet Command. So great that we did it twice. But what I wanted to end with was a Smack Talk article in the Smack Talk channel. It's not a Smack Talk article. It was sourced from Apple Insider, and it's about Google Drive and Mac OS users. If you've ever used Mac OS, you always stumble across this interaction between Windows machines and Mac machines. and the Mac file system in general, where it has these .ds_store files. And in this particular instance, Google Drive is causing it to flag it as a copyright issue. This article is over on Apple Insider, and written by Malcolm Owen. And I've heard of this, but I didn't see any repeating and reporting of it until today. In posts to Reddit, as reported by Bleeping Computer, the system is being tripped up by the .ds store specific file to Mac OS. And apparently it's causing a copyright flag to pop up. And really it's going to be an easy fix. It says this is not the first time that Google Drive has manifested such a problem, as users in January found files that contained a few numbers were flagged for similar copyright violations. The problem here is if anybody flags it as a copyrighted file, then the entire system starts scanning the infrastructure for matching files. And when there isn't any human fidelity in there, you have automation systems that are only as bright as the people that program them. And when you have either or options, if this file exists, then, and it's flagged as copyright, then every instance of that file is a copyright violation. It's as simple as changing the flag. Oh, and they say very much the similar at the bottom. A Google spokesperson said they had addressed the issue in January that impacted a small number of Drive files, including correcting the incorrect flagging and taking steps to stop it from happening again. This is still correct for all new files, but we're still updating some edge cases. So this is a known bug. It'll get fixed. And if you have been notified of this DS store copyright infringement, don't worry, it'll be resolved. And if anything happens to your account, you can let Google know. And I'm sure that there will be a resolution, and hopefully no missing files occur. And there you have it. Almost right on the money. Today I thought was going to be a little short. The news was light and heavily geopolitical because of the actions that are taking place right now. And a lot of claims about military action taking place in Ukraine. I hope nothing happens. I hope everything just remains status quo and that it's nothing more than military exercises. It's a messy thing, war. And most people just want to live their life. You know, go to work, start a family, educate themselves, work hard. It's not about putting the band back together. So good luck to us all. And like always, ohmTown.com aggregates news into these 6 categories, and you can always come and get some more news. Just click on the ohmTown logo. It will refresh, and you can continue to read the news, rate it up, rate it down, make comments, and keep in touch. ohmTown is expanding over to YouTube. There's about a month's worth of shows listed there right now. I'm posting the podcast now as well. We are posting on Twitter now, and we are always on twitch.tv/ohmTown for you to stop by and have a chat. And I hope to see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye.